I will explain here the usage of the iEfis simulator, which is mainly used for instrumental flight procedure simulation. It is not. It shouldn't be used for practicing the flying skills, since the dynamics of the aircraft are very basic. But it is a tool which can be used for training the instrumental procedures and instrumental flight in general. You have here a panel which is an EFIS, which is similar to the glass cockpits used in modern aircraft, in modern general aviation aircraft, and it works pretty the same way as a real EFIS. The main difference is that in the real EFIS you normally have no touch screen, so you always have a lot of buttons on the sides or on top or on the bottom of the screen, which control the choices you want or you have to make. Here, since we are using a touch screen, you just can click on the fields themselves. For example, if you want to choose a standby frequency, you just click on the specified frequency, in this case nav2, and you insert the frequency you want to put in, or in this case 110.3. You choose it, and it is selected. To switch it from standby to active frequency, you just click on this nav2 button, and then it switches. Once you switch, also the identity of the nav 8 chosen changes. In this case, it's Sierra Bravo. If we switch to 114.30, which is a VOR called Tango Romeo Sierra, it will indicate Tango Romeo Sierra. The same thing with nav 1. You could also choose a certain waypoint on which you will point with the GPS. In this case, we selected Eco Sierra Sierra Bravo. We could choose another airport or another nav 8. In this case, it's Arlanda in Stockholm. Or we can go back to Eco Sierra Sierra Bravo, which is Bromma in Stockholm as well. In this case, we are finding ourselves on the runway of Bromma, which is Eco Sierra Sierra Bravo, and we see it is at 0.5 nautical miles. The direct bearing is 120, and the track, in this case, since we just chose it, is 120 as well. For the communication radius, it doesn't really have a meaning in the simulation, but it just is there for completion purposes. You can just choose the frequencies, 126.5, for example. You select it, and now the standby frequency is 126.5, and to switch it to the active frequency, you click on the active frequency, and it switches. Unfortunately, in this case, we just show the same frequency, so doesn't really make sense because you don't see, and you see you switch back and forth, and you can do the same with the second frequency we've come to. Then you can choose the knobs for the, in this case for the altitude. You could choose 2,000 feet, for example, as the desired altitude. It will place the knob on the requested altitude, and you can do the same for the direction. We could do, in this case, 120, which is the direction of the runway. It will put the knob on the direction which we chose. Then, in the real EFIS, you have a lot of fields on the bottom of the screen. Normally, in the real one, you have all white text fields. In this case, you see different colors. You see, for example, the yellow colors. The yellow color is used in this case because it's fields which normally aren't appearing on a real EFIS. But here, since we are speaking about a simulator, we need some means of configuring the parameters for the simulation, so we added some additional fields. In this case, it's the simulation time. We can reset it by just clicking it, and it starts counting again. And then we have the simulator button. If you click on it, you can just toggle back and forth between active and deactivated. If you click it, it appears, further controls appear. You could select an altitude, you could select initial speed, you could select a heading. In this case, we could set the heading to the runway direction, then it aligns with the runway in this case. You could look at the map, you could choose the wind direction, you could set 250 degrees, that's the direction from where the wind is coming. You could choose a wind speed, which would shift us in the direction with the wind. We could, in this case, we just don't choose it. You could choose a turbulence, which makes the flying more difficult because it shakes. You could pause the simulation, which is indicated by the frozen text appearing in the middle of the screen or almost in the middle. And to activate it again, you just click on Run again. And you could save the data you've chosen by clicking Save. You can take away all these simulator buttons by just clicking again on the Sim button. So the yellow ones were for simulation purposes. Then you have the white ones, which are the, so to say, the normal ones, which you always have in a normal EFIS as well. You could see a small map appearing here, or you have the possibility to switch between the CDI modes. You have nav1 in this case, or you could switch to nav2, and in this case nothing is selected because the active frequency is the AVR, which is at this altitude still out of reach. But if we change it, then we pick up a signal, or we can switch to GPS, in which case it will indicate what we specified as a waypoint here on the top of the screen. If we select a VOR or a waypoint, we have the possibility to choose an OBS. Let's say we want to intercept the radio 150, then we choose 150, and you see the arrow will fall on 150, and we will see the angle we have to choose to intercept it. We have also the DME or ADF. We can select the DMF. On this, we have the possibility to choose a standby frequency, 394 in this case, and the active frequency at the moment is a 322, which is nav 8 ahead of us, an NDB ahead of us. If we switch it, in this case we select a nav 8 which is behind us. Then you can switch the DMA mode coupled to nav 1 in this case, or associated to nav 2 if we switch it, or to a specified frequency. Now we leave it on nav 1, and we can toggle the controls away. So basically, once we are finished, then we can just start with the flight simulator itself, with the flight itself. So we just apply some power, and the aircraft starts to move on the ground along the runway. Once we are about 48 knots, which is the speed, the stall speed, we can gently pull, and the aircraft starts climbing. For the simulator purposes, a good angle is between 10 and 15 degrees. If we choose 10 degrees, we let it pick up some speed. You see the speed is increasing while we are climbing slowly. And then we can turn in the direction we want. You have the turn indicator and everything like in a normal EFIS. So that's basically these are basically an instruction on how to make the selections and on how to be able to make a very basic flight. Once you know how to fly, then it is easy to make a navigation after the instrumental requirements. So in this case, if we want to intercept the 150, we go just to 195, which is 45 degrees, and you see we start already intercepting. So we have to be quite aggressive now, and maybe I was a little too aggressive in this case, and we just want to pick up the right track. So thank you for listening.